Hope everybody is doing well as we're hanging out inside of our Town Fair Tire studio. Our friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. And obviously, Tiki, the huge story here. And it's horrifying, and you don't see it very often, thank God. It is tough to watch. You put yourself in the shoes of Damar Hamlin's parents. I know his mom was at the game. You sit down to watch what was certainly a high-profile game with playoff implications, two really good teams, good start to the game, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a not very subtle reminder that football is
it's violent.
Beyond dangerous.
It's violent. It is. I always tell people you got to be a little bit crazy to play the sport because you run full speed into another human being who's padded just like you are, and that contact hurts, and it's physical, and it can cause damage, serious damage to your body. And Damar Hamlin, fortunately, had great medical professionals jump to his aid really quickly, which probably saved his life and probably saved him from extended brain damage, because what we all know, once your heart stops beating, the oxygen in your body stops flowing to your brain, and serious things can happen. But so hats off and kudos to the medical professionals that were there, both for both teams and for those that are around the stadium. And now he's currently in stable condition, even though he's still in critical condition. Our thoughts and prayers go out to him, his family, and the Bills family. And look, they did the right thing by stopping the game. But again, it goes back to what you said, BT. Football is a dangerous sport. We take it for granted because you get conditioned to watching these grown men just smash into each other night in and night out, or week in and week out. And I remember that my first season, it was week 2, and we were playing Jacksonville. And Ike Hilliard, who was drafted right above me, he was the first pick in 1997. I was the second pick in 97. And Ike was one of my favorite players ever, and just complete disregard for his body. So we're playing down in Jacksonville, and he catches a ball over the middle, down low, throw. He catches it and turns his back because he knows he's going to get hit, and he ends up breaking a bone in his neck or something with his neck. He ended up having to get his neck fused. The dude got up and walked off the field with a broken neck, basically. And so it reminds you that sometimes horrible things happen playing this game, but luckily the NFL has great medical professionals all around it, and have done really good things to keep guys healthy despite the damage that they face on the field.
Yeah, and listen, it's not just football. I mean, you can tune in and watch a baseball game and God forbid see somebody get, drilled with 98-mile-per-hour cheese in the face. If you're into wrestling, you can see some of these high wire acts go awry. Obviously, boxing, all the other, fighting sports. It's an incredibly dangerous way to make a living. That's why only a very small percentage of the population can do it. And it's just horrifying to watch it. I mean, it was a morbid watch last night. But from my point of view, I know others have said this, but I want to say this. I really thought everybody on the scene, the announcers, they were phenomenal. I mean, you go to broadcasting school, certain things you can prepare for, certain things you can. And whether it was Susie or Lisa Salters, Ryan Clark, who happened to be there, he was phenomenal. And it's just, it's a painful pullback of the curtain that, you're right, things we take for granted. I'm sitting there on Sundays tweeting about what sandwich I'm getting, or, what parlay some people are trying to chase, or what fantasy, situation they're dealing with. And at the end of the day, there are parents and there are the occasional reminders that nothing's guaranteed. So we're praying for him for sure. That goes without saying. You almost don't know how to start these shows because it's so sad, and you just hope that the young man's okay.
Well, look,
he's 24.
I think it's easy to turn this situation into an indictment on the game, which it absolutely shouldn't. This was a freak accident. The way that he got hit, Damar Hamlin got hit, is akin to, not exactly the same, but akin to what we've seen in little leagues where a kid gets drilled in the chest.
Yep.
It's at the right spot, at the right angle, right in between a heartbeat. It's called commotio cordis, and it stops your heart. And that's what this felt like when you were watching it. It just got hit at the exact right time, at the right angle. T. Higgins, leans into him instead of taking the hit. T. Higgins delivers the hit. Any of those things don't happen. This isn't an issue, and the play goes on, and we keep going. But it did happen, and it scares you, right? It makes you feel like, the sport. Why are we playing the sport? It's so dangerous. But guys willingly do this.
Mm-hmm.
They willingly put their body in harm's way because it's a sport that they love. It's a great way, let's face it, to make a living. And you know that there are risks involved. You just don't think this one is one that's going to ever come to play. That is potentially losing your life. But again, I've never seen this happen.
No.
I've never even thought about this happening. I'm sure shoulder pad manufacturers like our buddies over at X-Tech, they're going to start addressing this in some way, putting whether it's a metal plate or whatever it is. It will increase the technology that helps protect the players that play this game. So it's easy to get scared because of this, but I would say don't be, because there are ways to mitigate situations like this that very rarely happen.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it seemed, again, from my couch, fairly innocuous.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have T. Higgins try to smash me into next week, who's not like he's a nose tackle, but he's still a big, strong human being. And I initially thought it was just his head got jarred, and the brain rattled, and that's how obviously people get one of the ways you get concussed.
Yeah.
And that's what I initially thought it was. I didn't think anything about blunt force trauma, which obviously it wound up being. It was really scary. And I thought the fans in Cincinnati were phenomenal. I really did. So, we get the updates and we have nothing new for you. I know that Jerry just gave you something there, but we'll certainly get it to you. I don't know what it means in terms of scheduling. I know Boomer was talking about that a little bit this morning. There's several different scenarios, the built-in week between the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Maybe you just kind of push things back. I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth. I think one thing Boomer was saying that there's a possibility if this game is resumed on Monday between the Bengals and the Bills, because the Bills went home last night.
Yeah.
They didn't even hang around, and good for them. If there's a resumption of the game on Monday, that then Week 18 would just be pushed back another week, and then that built-in week before the Super Bowl is a softer landing. Right now, that seems incredibly trivial. I don't really care about that right now.
Yeah.
We care about a young man who's laying in a hospital bed, hopefully, who is able to walk out at some point the same way that he walked into the stadium last night.
You're right, BT. We have no idea what the league and the Players Association is ultimately going to decide to do. I wouldn't be surprised if they just told the game and make the ranking based on winning percentage.
Like a tiebreaker?
Yeah, just a tiebreaker. I mean,
you know what, though? What would stink about that is that there would be people who and I guess on some level I get it. Not that it should ever supersede the more important human level, but that teams would be fans of teams that were adversely affected. The sensitivity that everybody is showing now in an outpour toward DeMar Hamlin, if their team got hosed because of the NFL ruling this a tie and then or an incomplete game and then going to the tiebreaker, eventually that noise would change.
Yeah.
The conversation would change, and nobody wants to see that happen. I don't care what happens with the game, quite frankly.
I just think it's really hard to try to sneak a game, not a series of games, but a game into the NFL regular season without really compromising. That's not the issue right now, obviously. It's more about the health of DeMar Hamlin.
It's all about his health.
But they got to figure out what to do with this game, and I don't know if playing is even worth it.
Mm-hmm. No, I'm totally with you, Tiki. 877-337-6666. So, can we break early? I don't even want to transition to the show at this point. That just feels not right. So can we take a little break early, come back, okay, and then get into the business, and the business amongst many things. By the way, 50 years ago today, 50 years ago today, and there's a parallel with Steve Cohen of the Mets. 50 years ago today, George Steinbrenner bought the Yankees. We'll get to that a little later.